Hi guys, Merry Christmas! Welcome to our math series. Okay guys, long time no see. For today, we are going to talk about exponents. But before that, thank you very much to our frontliners for your efforts against COVID-19. Also, Ate Susan of Susan's Kitchen, thank you very much for our meal. Also, Ate Chanel Manzanillo, thank you very much for your reindeer cake last Christmas as well. Okay guys, feel free to like them on Facebook. Okay, to my family, friends in TCG, Dickies, Kuligligs, Merry Christmas. Also to my subscribers, Merry Christmas to all of you, including Team Vitroso, Team PP, and Team Giggle. Okay, first, let's define the term exponent. So exponents. What is an exponent? An exponent says how many times to multiply a number by itself. So basically, it's a repeated multiplication. For example, we've got this one, 5 raised to 2. That's the short form of writing 5 times 5. So you multiply 5 by itself 2 times. So what are the parts of this exponential expression? So we got number 5, and that's we call the base. The base is the number we multiply by itself. And then the number 2, which is written as a small number on the upper right hand of number 5, is called exponent, power, or index. So that expresses how many times you multiply that number, which is number 5, by itself, which also makes it easier for us to read and write it. So in this case, we multiply 5 by itself 2 times. So now we know what exponents are. Now, let's find out how we read them. So how do we read exponents? Let's have this example. So that's 5 raised to 2. You could read it as 5 raised to 2, or 5 to the second power, or 5 to the power of 2, or 5 to the power 2, or simply 5 squared. So in math or algebra, we usually say it as 5 squared. And this expression simply means 5 times 5. Moving forward, we have this one. So how do we say that one? So that's 4 raised to 3, or we could say 4 to the third power, or 4 to the power 3, or simply 4 cubed. Okay, so again, in math or algebra, when you see the exponent 3, you could just read it as cubed. And this expression is a shorter form for writing 4 times 4 times 4. So basically, you're multiplying 4 by itself 3 times. So it's very easy to write exponents. You just need to write the small number on the upper right part of the base. But in your calculator, you have to use the caret sign. How about writing exponents in a calculator? So on paper, it's easy. Just write the number for as normal, and then for exponents, just write them as small numbers and then write them on the upper right hand of the number or the base. So in your calculator, instead of doing that, you have to press or use what we call the caret symbol. So it looks like the point of the arrow pointing upward. So you just need to press the number for the base, and then press the caret sign, and then press the number for your exponent. So when you write 4 raised to 3, you type in 4, and then the caret symbol, and then the number 3. Okay guys, let's proceed to simplifying exponential expressions. So how do we simplify exponents? So let's have this example again. We have 5 squared. So that's the short form for 5 times 5. So we multiply 5 by itself 2 times. So this is the longer form of the expression. 5 times 5, and then it's 25. Okay, so 5 squared is equal to 25. Next, we have 4 cubed, or 4 raised to 3. So we multiply 4 3 times. So we have 4 times 4 times 4. And then the final product is 64. Okay? So 4 cubed is equal to 64. Now you can simplify or express exponents. It's now time to express exponents in their negative forms. How about negative exponents? For example, we have 5 raised to negative 2. So when it comes to reading, you usually read it as 5 raised to negative 2 instead of 5 raised to negative square. Okay? So I usually read it as 5 raised to negative 2. So what do we need to do? We have two steps. Number 1, write the reciprocal and then change the exponent sign to positive. Okay, so here's what I mean. So write the reciprocal. So the reciprocal is the reverse fraction form of the expression. So 5 raised to negative 2, its reciprocal is 1 over 5 raised to 2. And then change negative 2 into positive 2. So you have 1 over 5 squared. Okay, or 1 over 5 raised to 2. And then simplify 5 squared or 5 raised to 2, and that is 1 over 5 times 5, and then you get 5 times 5 is 25. So we have 1 over 25. So that's the fraction form. Alright, let's have another example. So we have 4 raised to negative 3. So let's get the reciprocal. 4 raised to negative 3 is the same as 4 raised to negative 3 over 1. So its reciprocal is 1 over 4 raised to negative 3. And then change negative 3 into positive 3. So you'll get 1 over 4 cubed, or 1 over 4 raised to negative 3. And then simplify 4 cubed. So you have 1 over 4 times 4 times 4, because you have to multiply 4 by itself 3 times. And then simplify that expression and you'll get 1 over 64. So that's your answer. So what if the exponent is 1 or 0? If the exponent is 1, then the answer is the base or the number or the variable. Then, if the exponent is 0, then the answer is 1. So what if your exponent is 1? So simply just write the base as your answer. For example, 5 raised to 1 is 5, 8 raised to 1 is 8, and then 12 raised to 1 is 12. So very simple, okay? And then what if your exponent is 0? So the rule is, if your exponent is 0, then the answer is 1. Therefore, 5 raised to 0 is 1, 8 raised to 0 is also 1, and then 12 raised to 0 is 1. How about this one? You've got 0 raised to 0. So it's either 1 or 0. So people or mathematicians call it indeterminate. Okay, so that's your answer. Now let's talk about exponents and grouping, or exponents involving parentheses. So if your exponent is outside the parentheses, you have to multiply the base by itself, including the sign. So grouping involves parentheses to include certain variables, symbols, or constant or numbers into one expression. First, let's talk about exponents with parentheses. As you can see, your base is negative 2. So that's the number inside the parentheses, and then you have number 2 outside the parentheses. So the rule is to multiply the base by itself, including the sign, if the base is inside the parentheses. So because your base is inside the parentheses and your exponent is 2, you have to multiply it by itself 2 times. And because your base is in the parentheses, you have to include the negative sign. So you have negative 2 times negative 2. So negative times negative is positive. So 2 times 2 is 4. You have positive 4. So let's go to another example, and it's still grouping with parentheses. So we have negative 3 as your base raised to 3, or negative 3 cubed. So you have to multiply negative 3 by itself 3 times. So you write negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3. So first, let's multiply the first two negative 3's. Negative 3 times negative 3, you have negative times negative is positive. You have positive 9, and then multiply positive 9 by negative 3. Positive times negative is negative. You have negative 27. So if your base does not have a parenthesis and it's raised to a certain power, you have to multiply it by itself without including the sign. And then another example, you have negative 2 squared, or negative 2 raised to 2. So this time we have got no parentheses. So in this case, you have to multiply 2 by itself without the negative sign because we don't have the parentheses. So we have negative 2 times 2. So negative times positive is negative, therefore your answer is negative 4. And then another example, still without the parentheses for the grouping, you have negative 3 cubed. So again, there's no parentheses, so just multiply number 3 by itself 3 times but without the negative sign or negative symbol. So we have negative 3 times 3 times 3. So let's multiply negative 3 and 3 first. Negative times positive is negative. We have negative 9, and then negative 9 times 3 is negative 27. So negative 3 cubed is negative 27. Okay guys, so let's have some practice questions. So we have the exercises. Question number 1, we have negative 3 in a parenthesis raised to the 5th power, or negative 3 raised to 5. So we are going to multiply negative 3 5 times because it's inside the parentheses. So let's express it as negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3. Okay? So let's multiply the first two negative 3's first. So we have negative 3 times negative 3. Negative times negative is positive. So you'll have positive 9. And then multiply it to the next negative 3. Positive times negative is negative. 9 times 3 is 27. So you have negative 27. And then multiply it to the next negative 3. Negative times negative is positive. So 27 times 3, you have positive 81, and then multiply it with the other negative 3, and positive times negative is negative, and 81 times 3, and yes, you'll get 243, negative 243. So that's the answer for this question. And then question number 2. So you have negative 5 in a parenthesis raised to negative 3. So we have to get the reciprocal of this expression first, and that is equal to 1 over negative 5 in a parenthesis raised to negative 3. And then we change the negative 3 into positive 3. So we rewrite it as 1 over negative 5 cubed. Let's write it down as 1 over negative 5 times negative 5 times negative 5, because you have to multiply negative 5 by itself 3 times, including the sign, because it's inside the parentheses. So let's start with the two negative 5's first. Negative 5 times negative 5, negative times negative is positive. So let's write it as 1 over 25, positive 25, and then times negative 5. And then multiply 25 times negative 5, positive times negative is negative. So you have 1 over negative 125, and we usually write the negative sign with the numerator or between your numerator and your denominator. So we write negative 1 over 125. Okay, so let's have the final question, question number 3. So we have bracket negative 2 cube raised to 0. So you know that the expression is raised to 0, and any expression raised to 0 is 1, except for 0, because 0 raised to 0 is indeterminate, as we've explained earlier. So our answer for this question is 1. Okay guys, thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you've picked up something new or refreshed your knowledge about exponents. So if you like the content of this video, don't forget to click the thumbs up button, consider subscribing, and hit the bell icon for future updates. I'll see you later, and again, happy holidays!